afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am delighted and honored to be the first student to welcome officially the Harvard class of 2013. I'm also excited to be the first person to say, class of 2013, let me hear you make some noise. Come on, we can do better than that. 2013, let me hear you make some noise. Not bad. And welcome to your first year at Harvard College. Harvard is an amazing and sometimes overwhelming place, and starting your first year here can seem pretty daunting. But the simple fact that you're here now means that Harvard recognizes something amazing in you, too. And no, the admissions office did not admit you by mistake. Whether you're a world-class athlete or just a really good math student, there is a place for you here, too. And you do deserve to be here, just as much as anyone else. When I first arrived at Harvard, I was too confused by many of Harvard's bizarre customs, and I found myself asking questions like, why is Pforzheimer spelled with a P? Or, what is a secondary field of concentration? These unusual conventions, joined by an overabundance of acronyms, initially made finding my way through Harvard a bit like wading through an intensely cerebral alphabet soup. Once I became familiar with them, however, I came to appreciate these practices as important aspects of Harvard's charm. This is especially true at the college, where some old world traditions have lasted almost 400 years. For example, it's no accident that the freshmen live in Harvard Yard. Despite the dozen other schools that Harvard now comprises, the college is the oldest and the biggest part of the university, and it remains the center of the Harvard experience, both geographically and symbolically. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Most professors feel that way too. Professors love teaching undergrads, especially the ones with lots of different interests. And if you make an effort to get to know them, they'll be really grateful for it, and they're likely to reciprocate. The Harvard College community is also fantastically varied, and more likely than not, its student body is much more diverse than your high schools were. At my high school in Memphis, Tennessee, I qualified as one of the more unusual kids, thanks to a grandfather from England and a background that was Jewish. But I was thrilled to learn that in my freshman dorm room, I would live among a group of guys I could never have encountered back home, including a Jersey boy born in British Guyana, a Long Islander of Korean descent, and a tetralingual Dominican, who hosted our whole motley crew for spring break that year. All I needed to do was spend a few minutes hanging around the entryway to Strauss C to realize that the composition of my dorm was a mix of races, ethnicities, and genders delightfully unlike the all-boys prep school I'd left behind. And Harvard only continues to grow more and more diverse each year. You, the class of 2013, are the most diverse group of freshmen in Harvard history, representing more than 55 countries, every major religion, and socioeconomic statuses that run the gamut. In addition to your talents and your intelligence, your incredible variety of experiences is your greatest strength, and I hope you'll take advantage of the wide range of students you'll meet at Harvard. In my 3 years here, I know that I've learned just as much from my roommates and fellow students as I have from my teachers and my textbooks. Part of the reason I've been asked to speak for you today is because of my experience in the arts at Harvard, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my time outside the classroom. The performing arts have been the focus of my extracurricular life, and the hours I've spent in rehearsals and performances have afforded me some of my greatest memories and introduced me to my dearest friends. But when I got to Harvard, like many of you, I didn't have any experience performing at a college level. All I brought with me were a handful of songbooks and a love of singing. Nevertheless, I was desperate to be a member of the arts community, so I went to every audition I could find. And because I pursued these opportunities, I was fortunate to participate in a wonderful variety of groups, projects, performances. What's more, I acquired skills that I now use outside the arts as well. From the Crocodillos, for example, I learned how to give a good show every time, no matter how much sleep I got. From the university choir, I learned what it's like to work with some of the best professionals in their fields. And from the Hasty Pudding, I learned that sometimes it's healthy just to have a good laugh, and that sometimes that laugh might involve putting on makeup or prancing around in heels. I probably won't be working in the arts after college, but even so, I will never regret the time I've spent with the arts at Harvard. In my fellow students, I've also seen how the arts can provide a forum for collaboration across disciplines. Last year, I had a friend who jointly concentrated in theater and physics, and for her thesis, she wrote and directed an original play about the Manhattan Project on Harvard's main stage. Meanwhile, students in organizations like STAGE and CityStep use the performing arts as an educational tool for public school children. And sometimes an artistic perspective can simply serve to enrich the lives of those around you. My peer advising fellow, for example, was both an operatic tenor and a starting fullback for the football team. And he used to rile up his teammates by singing fight songs for them in the locker room. Thanks to President Faust's Task Force Report on the Arts, released last year, this is an especially exciting time to be involved in the arts at Harvard, and I encourage you to make the most of this opportunity. As the newest class of students at the college, you, the class of 2013, are in a unique position to influence the fate of the arts at Harvard. If you're already an accomplished artist, you will have the chance to work at the highest level at Harvard, from putting on exhibitions at Harvard museums to performing at Carnegie Hall. If you're not quite as devoted to the arts, now might be the time to give it a try. Take up playing the viola again, or audition for the Spanish language play, or take a studio art class. But even if you don't become an artist at Harvard, this is the time to take risks and to experiment with new activities. Go to meetings for lots of different clubs, but don't feel obligated to join any of them. Try reading all the posters in the yard for the first few weeks, so you'll have a sense of what's going on around campus. And if you have a good idea and the energy to make it happen, then do it. Students who take initiative are the ones who get the most out of Harvard. And whether you're interested in the arts or not, your time in college will be better if you perform at your highest level. It will enrich your education in a way that nothing else can, and it will be a contribution to Harvard that only you can give. Thank you, and have a wonderful freshman year.